Welcome to the Daily Podcast. I am a divine healer. I help people to heal, and I help them to stay healed by understanding why they got sick in the first place, or understand what was the cause of their unhappiness. We discover these things because of all the work that we do. It's together, and we do this at a soul level. All the work that we do, we're doing it at a soul level. So today we're going to talk about prayer. So I view prayer very differently than I did when I was younger. I understand it very differently. So we're going to start out here. We're going to talk about prayer over food specifically. This is just the first thing we're going to talk about. We got a lot that we're going to discuss about this. So when we talk about food, and we think, people pray over a meal, what a wonderful thing that it is that they do. I remember being young, listening to whoever's the head of the table pray. We're so thankful everybody's here. Thank you for the food. Thank you, all these things. So when I was younger, I remember hearing prayer and thinking like, we're thanking this, God up in the sky for all of these things. And, that was just what I was thinking that we were doing was we were, thanking God for this stuff. But now that we've got science, we can understand how exactly prayer is actually changing the food that we are praying over top of. So if you guys have not seen the Dr. Emoto water experiment, you can go look it up. Emoto, like it sounds, E-M-O-T-O. What he did was he held intention over water. So intention is literally thought. So if I had the intention of love, then that means I'm holding my hands over the water and I'm thinking about love, and I'm thinking about actually sending love into this water. So he did this, and he did this with all different kinds of emotions. Now, what the result of this was that when beautiful, high vibrational things that were close to the alignment, divine truth alignment, things like love and care and kindness and thankfulness and all of these things, when these were put into the water, it created beautiful molecules. So when they froze them, the ones that had this good intention put into it was actually visually extremely beautiful. And the ones that had the low vibrational frequencies, like hate and spite and things like this, were very distorted. They were very ugly, and they actually had a different cellular structure, or a different structure to them than the ones that had high vibration within them. So when we think about prayer, if you think about praying over top of your food and you were to think about putting all of this goodness into that food, you are actually changing it. And so what happens when you then consume this food is that it is used by your body in a very beautiful way, as opposed to eating things like hate and spite and all these things. So if you are somebody that eats when you get emotional, and when you think about that for a second, what emotions are you eating, and what do those emotions look like when you're eating them? So think about it. Maybe you want to look that up on the Dr. Emoto water experiment, and you can see that, like, let's say you're upset, and so all of a sudden you think, oh, I need to go get myself a soda or an ice cream or whatever it is, because you're all upset, and then you're sitting there thinking about that thing that you're upset about, and you're eating that food. What is happening is you're actually changing the structure of that food, and you're eating that emotion. You're eating it, you're putting it in your body, and then you wonder like, oh, why do I get a tummy ache? Why do I feel so not good? This is why. And so then what's going to happen? Let's say that, I've worked with lots of people for weight loss and things like this over the years. And so just imagine what happens every time that you're eating that food. And let's say that you're eating it and and you're like, oh, I'm not even hungry. I shouldn't be eating this, so first of all, you're thinking, I shouldn't be eating this. So you're putting some guilt into your food, and you're putting all that kind of thing in it. And then you eat that food, and then you wonder why you don't feel good. This is why. So thought essentially is prayer, right? Because we can pray and we can use our thought. We don't have to say our prayers out loud. We can say them in our head. So we're really just having intentional thought. Really is what prayer is, but it can actually affect our environment and therefore affect our world. So you know, it matters. So if you think about praying, and you were to think about praying over your food, you know, put the goodness over it. This is why, you know, some people they'll go for holidays and maybe they have a family that they're annoyed with or whatever it happens to be. And so then they're sitting there and they're thinking about, you know, Sally Joe over across the table and how much they don't like her. Or whatever it happened to be, maybe there's a lot of judgment going on. And so as you're thinking that, but you're consuming food, what it is that thought that you are having is going into that food, and therefore it would negate, you know, the thankfulness and the goodness that was previously there in the food, because everything happens in the right now. So, you know, we can pray over this food, we can put the goodness in it. Yes, it is then received, but we could then, of course, counteract it. Because how did it start out? We changed it by having a thought, so we can change it by having a different thought. So, you know, prayer can be used in this way. So think about this, you know, next time that you're praying over your food, and then hold that beautiful vibration of thankfulness as you're consuming your food. And you will notice that as you intentionally do this, you know, if you maybe eat to excess and maybe you're eating when you're not even hungry, which of course I wouldn't recommend, but if you're doing that, you will notice that if you put some intention into your food before you begin, you'll probably end up eating less too, because you're going to be more thoughtful about the food that you consume. Okay, but this is just prayer to do with food. So now I want to tell you guys about different prayer. So this was interesting. I had a very mystical experience several years ago when I had this enlightenment come to me. So this enlightenment came to me after weeks of being completely alone, no Wi-Fi, no nothing. I've been studying the Christ letters, you know, for years at this point. But so I bring my Christ letters up there. You know, I was up at my cabin. I'm doing yoga. I'm meditating. I'm listening to music. I'm painting. I'm doing all of these things. But I'm there purely for spiritual reasons. Like I went up with the intent to gain enlightenment, and this was what happened. And I'm like, well, I'm not leaving until it happens. And so I was up there for about 3 weeks. So during this process, I am at one point sitting out on my dock. So my cabin is up right on the edge of a lake, so there's no people up there, which is really sweet. So I'm out there meditating on the dock. My guess is I've been out there for about 45 minutes. And so as I'm sitting there, I remember this thinking, like as I'm meditating, thinking that it just kept popping into my head that I had this aura of white light around me that extended around me by several feet. And you know, as I'm meditating, for whatever reason, that popped into my head several times, which is not something that would normally happen in a meditation. So this is happening, and while it's going on, I then, you know, so I've been out there for like I said, maybe 45 minutes, and then I hear this movement in the water in front of me. And so I'm thinking like, oh, well, those ducks are back, because every time that I would go out to meditate, all these animals would come out of the woodwork, and when I would open my eyes, they would be all around me. This is actually kind of, it's really fun, because I was doing this in my backyard here this summer, and I'm just sitting out on the cement meditating, and I open my eyes, and next to me, and I'm talking like a couple feet away from me, are 3 bunnies. There was no bunnies when I began meditating, and now I got 3 bunnies just sitting there. They're just checking me out. They like the energy. So this is like a neat thing. So anyways, I hear this water in front of me, and I'm like, oh, the ducks are back. So I open my eyes. But the neat thing was, this whole time I had been hearing buzzing around me, you know, like mosquitoes or whatever. Keep in mind, I had been envisioning this aura of light around me, like that just kept coming into my head for whatever reason. So I opened my eyes to, you know, check out the ducks, which of course they were right there in front of me. But then I look up, and around me, but not touching me, because there is a couple of feet of energy around me that does not have mosquitoes in it. But around the outside of that, so like a couple of feet away from me, but in a perfect kind of, you know, circle around me, was this energetic field of protection. And then on the outside of that, so a couple feet away from me, are thousands of mosquitoes, just all around the outside of this. And I look up and I'm like, oh, that's super cool, because they're everywhere but touching me. They couldn't penetrate whatever energetic field had been, emitted, I guess, by sitting there meditating. I was, protected by these mosquitoes. But so I look up and I was like, oh, that's super cool. But I've been in enlightenment, this heightened state, for several days at this point. So as cool as this was, I wasn't, I was like, oh, that's cool. But I wasn't like, oh, wow, this is the coolest, most amazing thing. It was like, give me more. I wanted more. So I said that. I look up, I was like, oh, cool. I want more. And I closed my eyes and I just sat there. So this was my method of getting what it is that I wanted. What was, I would just sit there and just wait. Like, I'm sitting here and I'm not moving until I have enlightenment, until this comes to me or until whatever comes to me. So I look up, I'm like, oh, cool. And I close my eyes again and I say, I want more. And within a couple of seconds, this energy moves into my body and I recognize, and I'm like, oh, this is the energy of a bird. And I just immediately knew it. And within a couple of seconds, I am now, this is my third eye, but I am in it and I am experiencing it and I am there. I am floating up above the lake. Now, way above the lake. And I'm floating way up there and I recognize, oh, I'm this bird. Now, the day that I arrived at my cabin, this raven or crow, I can't really tell the difference, flies right in front of me as soon as I pull up, and I was like, oh, this dude is here for me. This is my bird. Then I would start, recording videos, which if you've been following me for a few years, you'll see ones from the cabin that I recorded a long time ago. And any time that I would start to record a video, because I would usually sit in the same spot in my cabin, that bird would come up and he would fly into the tree. He just made himself known. So anyways, I am now this bird and I'm flying way up above the lake. And what I see now is these two black, what I would consider entities floating up from the lake. But what it really looked like was black energy coming up from the lake. And at the time, this took me a couple years to realize what it was that I was actually, why it was black, what was coming up from the lake. But I knew that these were prayers at that time. So this bird, myself at that time, goes and just gathers these. There's just this intuition of, I need to go and get these. And so I see this bird going and grabbing these two black energies and then flying back over to the tree that's right behind me on the dock where that bird would show up every day when I'm sitting there meditating. And I had the understanding and the awareness that this bird was gathering these energies and was going to deliver it to someone who was spiritually minded that could do something about it. And these black things that had come up from the lake were prayers. Now, this took me years to figure out why. Why was this black energy if these were prayers? Because when I think about prayer, I think about, white light. I think about this, something that was uplifting, something, that's wonderful. But I realized it's because those prayers were based in fear. They were based in fear. And so they needed to be transmuted. Right? Because if you're praying about something and you're fearful, which many people do this, fear is a low vibrational energy. Now let me tell you about this. The reason why it was so fearful was because those prayers were about a woman's daughter, and that woman's daughter was hooked up to life support, and that very next day they were going to unhook her, and the doctor said, this doesn't look good. I don't think this is going to turn out good. They were expecting her not to live. And so this woman and her daughter go, and they spent the entire day at ceremony, at prayers. And they are native. So this is in Canada. So they are doing their traditional prayers at a facility. And I understand completely why they would be fear-based, because she was terrified that her daughter was not going to survive after they unhooked her from this life support. So, this the blackness of it took me years to understand, and it's because, it was a fear-based prayer, which of course we should never have fear-based prayers, because they're not in alignment with divine love. However, this bird comes and it brings it to me and it tells me, hey dude, you need to heal this woman's daughter, which at that time, easy peasy, of course, done. It's done. And I knew it. And now here's the process. I understood that only love exists. And so through my deep knowing of that, because I had just felt it and I had just experienced it and I had just known this on such a deep level, that it is the only thing that exists, and that it is only our mind, our lack of mind control, that introduces things other than love into our world. And because we then believe in them, they then manifest in our world and then we experience them. And so my knowledge of this deep love and my understanding of this deep love knew, and I had no doubt in my mind that of course this woman is going to be healed. And so I knew without a doubt, and I sent out this joyful thankfulness that she was already healed, that it was already done. And I had this extreme excitement and thankfulness and joy so uplifted inside of me. Even just thinking about it now, it was really exciting. And so, I don't have Wi-Fi, so I go down to the hotel so that I can go and send my friend here a message and say, hey dude, your daughter's gonna be totally fine. It's already done. She's already good. So by the next time that I spoke to this woman, yes, her daughter was totally fine, completely fine. But my point about this is the prayers. So seeing that blackness, okay, well, it came to me so that I, being the spiritually minded person that this bird, wanted to deliver these prayers to, I could transmute that energy from fear, which is, falseness, which is not the truth, into love, which is the truth. And so I understood, and now I understand, because we're speaking about prayers, that when we pray, we should not be praying fearful things. We should only be praying loving, thankful things for the outcome. So let's say that you have something and maybe you're concerned about somebody, maybe somebody's health isn't very good. And so you're concerned and you're praying about them. Well, how should you be praying? You should be praying in the way of only love, only thankfulness for their healing. It's already done. So when a sick person comes to me, I don't see the sickness that's there. I understand that the only reason that they have that is because their mind is because they have created this. It has nothing to do with anything about their physical body, but it is the energy that's underlying their physical body that has been damaged by some beliefs that they are holding within themselves. And if they fix those beliefs, then they're going to heal just like that. And so when people work with me, what I do is we take them to a soul level, and then I show you this at a soul level, that you have a choice, that you can remain sick and you can keep feeding it all of those things that downgraded your physical energy and allowed you to stay sick and to keep sick and to get sick and to get sicker and sicker and sicker. Or you can choose the love, which is really the only thing that's actually true and that only exists. And then by choosing that, then you can miraculously, seemingly miraculous, but it's really no miracle at all, it's just how our universe actually works, be healed. Just like that. You can come and then you can leave, and you come sick and you leave better, but this depends on the person's faith, because I can't do anything for anybody. You got to choose it for yourself. So it took me years though, because I had been sitting on the dock when this bird had come to me and told me to heal this woman's daughter. And it was then later, maybe the next day or whatever, that I then had that experience of that bird moving into my body and then seeing this play out. So I was fully a part of it, of understanding how it could happen. Now, keep in mind, previous to this, I couldn't talk to animals. And I remember wishing that I could, because I know several women that are animal intuitives, right? And they'll like, do a reading for your animal if something's wrong with them. They'll be able to tune in and tell you. I had one friend, and I was like, oh, my dog has these issues. He's kind of got these things going on with him. And she was able to tell me, oh, well, it's because of this. He's allergic to his food and he whatever. And it helped me out. And I always remember thinking like, dang it, I wish I could have done that. Why can't I talk to these animals? But I just thought, it's not my thing. So previous to this bird coming and flying and sitting in that tree and intuitively telling me, you need to heal this woman's daughter right now, I had never, communicated with an animal. And so when this then bird, however long later, moved into me and showed me this process, it was because I needed to gain that deeper level of understanding of exactly how this works, and how prayer works, and how, of course, everything is all connected. So it was very valuable for me to be able to experience this from multiple facets, being the one receiving this information from the bird, then being the bird, then saying the prayers, and then understanding how the prayers worked. But like I said, it took me a couple years to understand why those prayers were black coming up from there rather than white, which is what I would have expected prayers to look like for whatever reason, So when we were praying, so let's say that you had some kind of sickness, and that you are healing this within yourself. Now, if you were to pray, and you prayed, please take this illness away from me, and blah blah blah, and focus on the illness, you are feeding the illness. But if you were to focus on your healing, thank you for my healing, I'm so thankful to be healed. And if you were to only focus on that and believe in it without any doubt, no doubt, you would be healed. But if you go and you pray to the divine and you say, thank you for my healing, and then you go back to the divine and you say, hey, I'm not healed yet, what you have done is you have counteracted all of the good work that you have put out there, because you have now believed in the sickness again. You have now fed that illness and that sickness over and over again. You've counteracted all the good work. So you cannot go and get healed and then continue to speak about the illness that you had. You can't tell people, oh, here's my illness. Well, I think it's getting better, but my illness, because many people do this. They focus on it as if they claim it as if it's their own. It's not your own. The only reason that it's there inside of your body is because at some point you have believed in something that is not the truth. Let me give you an example here. So, if here's a real good book for you guys. I know I mention this all the time. If you have not got it, you will not regret getting this book. It is called The Secret Language of Your Body, written by Inna, I-N-N-A, Segal, S-E-G-A-L, written by Inna Segal. So if you had something currently that was going on inside of your body, you could look up that ailment, or you could look up that body part in that book, and it would tell you the emotional cause behind it, meaning the sin behind it. Because when Jesus would heal people, he would heal them, and then he would say, now go and sin no more. And what he meant by that was, now do not bring back the old things that cause that downgraded energy to deplete that part of your body's energy and to cause that illness or that disease or that sickness in the first place. And so when I'm talking about the emotions that are attached to these things, is they are low emotions. You're not, oh, you are just too confident and so you got sick, never going to happen, not going to happen. Nope, that's not how it works. It is usually things like feeling like you're not good enough. There's anger, there's resentment, there's unhealed past trauma. There's things like this that you're carrying within your energetic system. And those things are attached to beliefs. And because those beliefs dictate and create the world around you, they will cause sickness and they will cause disease. But this is not some punishment. This is a beautiful thing. Because your body is like a blueprint for your mind, causing physical aches and pains when emotional aches and pains go on unattended. So if you have got to the point where part of your body has broken down, or you have ended up with some kind of disease or illness or sickness or something like that, it is because there has been some emotions that have gone on unattended for such a long time that your body is like, hey, pay attention. And it's going to cause something to happen. Now, people will be like, oh, well, no, it's because I jumped off of this, or it's because I slipped and fell on that. No, that is not why. That is why, yes, that you got the thing. But the only reason that that happened was because there was something that was going on unattended, and you needed to gain that injury or that disease or that sickness or that something so that you could pay attention and be like, oh, right. Anytime something's not functioning properly in my body, it's because I have something not functioning properly in my emotional body. This is your clue, this is your thing to let you know. So like I would use this book, and if I slam my finger in a door, well, I'm going to look up that particular finger because this book is that specific, and it's going to tell you what's going on there. And I'll be like, oh, that's right, I am kind of, angry about this or angry about that. I better shape it up. And then as soon as you shape it up, well, those things aren't going to happen anymore. But when these things go on unattended for any length of time, and you continue to feed them with your thoughts, with your thinking, then that part of the body will eventually break down, because these energies are being carried in your auric field constantly all the time. So if you had some kind of something that was going on within you and you decide that you're going to pray, here's a good way that you could pray. You could say, Divine, please show me why this has happened to me. Please tell me what emotional baggage and what kind of trauma has been remaining unhealed within me that I need to heal so that this disease or this ailment or this ache or this pain can go away from me. You can pray in this way. And as you pray in this way, and as you pray with no doubt that, of course, the divine wants you to know, the only reason that you're having that ailment in the first place is so that you can heal it. So, of course, the divine is going to give you insight on it when you believe it with no doubt. And so then you can pray and you can say, Divine, please illumine my mind as to why this ache and why this pain or this disease or whatever it is here in my body. And as you sit there and you pray, and then you sit there in silence and you wait for an answer to come. And now this answer is going to come from you, baby. It's not going to come from out there, here, there, anywhere. It's going to come from inside of you, because your soul knows all of it. Your soul knows everything. And so when this thought comes into your head of, oh, maybe it's this, don't maybe it is that. You're right. And so whatever it is that needs to be healed in that thing, you need to heal that thing. Maybe you need to let it go. Maybe you need to forgive somebody. Maybe you had some kind of sexual trauma as a child and you're still suffering from it. Maybe there's resentment. Maybe there's hurt. Maybe there's shame. Maybe there's guilt. Maybe there's pain around it. Anytime any of those that I just mentioned, any of those emotions, those are low vibrational energies. And they do manifest, and you will hold them within your energetic system if you have not healed yourself. And when you do this, when you hold those, they lower the vitality and the life that is meant to be in that part of your body. You'll feel drained, depleted, and it's like, where'd all my energy go? Well, it went away with all those low vibrational thoughts because they're heavy and they steal away your energy. Whereas the high vibrational thoughts, the ones that are more in alignment with the truth, which is loving, caring, kindness, beautiful energies that are high vibing, that make you feel good when you think about them, those are in alignment with the divine truth, and those are never going to make you sick. Those are going to heal you. Those are going to uplift you. Those are going to give you all kinds of energy. Think about how good you feel when you've had a good laughter fit. How amazing you feel. That energy is the closest to divine alignment that you can get. I will find myself just laughing over absolutely nothing, and sometimes I will find myself just laughing when there is something that is maybe low vibrational that's going on around me. And it's not that I'm trying to do that. I'm not trying to laugh at anybody, but it is just my body's natural response to uplift the energies that are around me. It's just what happens to come out. So if somebody's saying something that's really negative, I might start smiling and laughing, and I am not smiling and laughing at that person. It is just a natural thing that happens in my own energy to protect myself and to transmute the energies that are around me. It just happens naturally, and it's happened ever since that enlightenment came to me. And it's a beautiful and wonderful thing. And I have to tell you that laughter and that energy is the closest to divine alignment that you can get. It's the most uplifted, it's the most beautiful, wonderful thing that you can get, that beautiful laughter. It is just a wonderful, wonderful thing. So, as we're talking about prayer here, when you are going to pray, I verse there's prayer and then there's meditation. So when I think about prayer, I think about praying at God, praying at the divine. It's as if we are, sending out a request. We're the ones doing the talking when we're praying, right? Whereas meditation is kind of the opposite spectrum of that, is that maybe we've prayed first, we sent out the thing, and now meditation is sitting there and waiting for the response. And so both of these are equally important. So if you only pray and you do not meditate, you are causing a detriment to yourself. Because that is like, I don't know if you've ever met somebody and all they do is talk and you don't get a word in edgewise. That's what you're doing when you're only praying and you're not meditating. You're like, God, I want this and this and this and this and this and all these things and all the stuff and all the things. And you keep talking. And God's like, well, did you want to hear what I had to say about that? Guess you didn't. Whereas if you then take the time to meditate, to sit there in the silence and connect with the divine, then you are going to get the answer. So I don't actually really pray anymore. I'll put thankfulness, I'll put goodness into things. But if I want something, I'm doing it in a meditation. I will speak it out loud, whatever it is that I want, because I know that I'm creating it through my words, because the words hold certain vibrations and those imbue the space that's all around you, and they do create actual creation. So if I want something, I'm going to say it. Now, but here's the deal. Once you get to the point that you can manifest that quickly, that when you speak about something, it happens like that, pretty soon, very soon, you don't want anything anymore. You're like, a mansion would be nice. What would it though? Oh, I don't know. Does the divine want that for me? I don't know. How about this? Do I want that? I don't really know. Do I want that? And you can say, when you don't have these things, you might think, oh, I want all of these things because they're going to bring me happiness. But when you get to the point that you can speak and manifest just like this, it makes you not want anything that the divine doesn't want for you. And so then you start to pray differently. You start to meditate differently. Because you're sitting there, and rather than, the prayer of please bring me this and please bring me that and all the stuff and all the things, and then you say, divine, whatever is best, this is what I want. Please bring me opportunities that will be what is best for me. And so then you stop praying so specifically. And you don't say, I want the blue Porsche and I want the, whatever. You stop praying in this way because maybe there's a better Porsche than the blue one. Maybe there's something that would be even better, and you know that the divine knows what is best. And so then you start praying very differently. Because you're not being selfish anymore and say, I need this to be happy. You're thinking, no, the divine cares for me in such a beautiful way. I don't want to limit myself by requesting the blue Porsche when that, thing that's even better than it is sitting over there just waiting for me, and the divine wants to give it to me, but I've blocked it with my request because I said I wanted this and not that. So when we pray thankfulness into your food. So think about, your life. And if you were to put thankfulness into your life that you currently have right now, and thankfulness for all of it. And we've spoken about this before, but I'm going to tell you again. Thankfulness even for the lice, right? For all of it. Let's say you had cockroaches in your house, and you're thinking, oh, these things are driving me insane and whatever. You know what? Be thankful for them. Put thankfulness into everything, because absolutely everything has come from the Spirit, and everything has a lesson, everything has something that it can teach us, and everything is good. And when we put our belief out there that everything is good, then everything is good, because our beliefs dictate the world around us. So I'm going to tell you that story again. If you've been listening to me for a while, sorry, but you're going to have to hear it again. And if you're new, well, you're in for it. This is great. So there was this concentration camp back in the war, this Jewish concentration camp, and all these women are in a cabin here together. And they happen to have snuck in a Bible and a bottle of vitamins. and they're sleeping on hay every night. And so each evening they're holding a Bible study. They're reading from that. They're passing around the vitamins. Every time they tip over the bottle, there's another vitamin to take out of there, and they still got their Bible. And so somebody's praying at the end of this one night, and they say, thankful, we're thankful for the Bible, and we're thankful for the vitamins, and all the ladies, and all the things, and thank you for the lice, because their cabin was infested with lice. And so some of the women started freaking out and saying, "Are you kidding me? These lice are terrible. They're driving me insane." And they were angry that this woman said to be thankful for them. And she said, "You know what? Well, the Bible said to be thankful for everything, so I'm going to be thankful for everything." Now the war ends, and this whole entire time, right until the very end of it, they could tip over that bottle of vitamins, and there was still a vitamin that came out of it. And right until the very end, they still had that Bible. And the entire time, they're thinking, how has someone not raided our cabin and taken our stuff? Well, they get to talking to a guard outside of their cabin, and she said, "Why did you never come in and take our stuff?" And she said, "Oh, well, your cabin was infested with lice. Nobody was going to go in there." So even the lice in this case were an absolute blessing. And so I want you to think about that for a second, that there is something perhaps in your life that you haven't liked, that you haven't loved, that has been awful, that has been the lice in your life. And as soon as you shift it, and as soon as you change that belief, and as soon as you start being thankful for that thing, then you're going to learn the lesson from it, and you're going to see why it happened the way that it happened. It was necessary and it was needed, whatever it is that's going on. So if you can shift yourself to be thankful for everything, and that is the prayer that you send out every day. Thank you for this. Thank you for that. Thank you for my warm bed. Thank you for my warm house. Thank you for this. Thank you for that. Thank you for this. And thank you for that. And just keep in mind that the things that you have right now, somebody out there would beg to have. And if you could think about that and you could be thankful for them, then everything in your life would change. Because all the beliefs underlying thinking that this thing is bad or that thing is bad over there, all those things would change too. And you could put more thankfulness, and you could imbue all that space around you with more thankfulness, which is very high vibrational, and you will get more things that come into your life that are equal to that vibration, that are high vibrational, that you can also be thankful for. Because only goodness exists. There is only love that exists, and every single other thing comes from the mind. So I love you all. Thank you guys so much for tuning in here today. I hope that you guys have a wonderful day, and I thank you for your loyalty listening here to me. This is wonderful. Please like, share, subscribe. Share this with a friend if you think that it could be valuable to them. I love you all so very much. Thank you, my darlings. I will see you guys tomorrow. Take care.